Hello, my name is Matthias Cavodi. I'd like to welcome you guys to my channel. Today we're going to talk about a really good tie-in into the Secret Invasion crossover. The Secret Invasion itself was a really solid crossover. I loved it, and the tie-ins were really good too. They pumped out a lot of really interesting stories. I never thought that I used to think they were super stupid and super lame. They could make them into credible threats to the Marvel Universe, and them as villains really create a fertile ground to make some really interesting stories. So today we're going to cover the X Factor and She-Hulk tie-ins that actually they do cross over into each other because they're both written by Peter David. He was on both series. So we're going to cover X Factor issues 33 to 34 and She-Hulk issue 31. The art in the X Factor issues are done by Larry Stroman, and in She-Hulk, Bichin Sokuka. So without further ado, let's get into this. We have the story. It starts. We have Darwin. He's hanging out with Longshot. They're in Detroit. Darwin has asked Longshot if he can help him find Charles Xavier. Xavier's, during this time, he was like missing in action. No one can find him. No one knows where he is. Darwin has a ton of questions for him. And when they're in Detroit, what happens is, because obviously, when you start reading this, you realize that something's up with Longshot. So, like right off the bat, with the Secret Invasion, you know he's a Skrull, and Longshot sort of instigates this situation on the street, which leads to a fight with a bunch of gangsters. And what actually Longshot is trying to do is like get Darwin into these bad situations to see how his powers adapt and help him save his life, because these gangsters want Darwin super dead. While back in New York, we have X Factor. A man arrives, wants to commission them on an investigation because seems to be Darwin's father, and he wants X Factor to help him find his lost son. While things are sort of like going from bad to worse for poor Darwin, having to deal with all these street thugs, Longshot sees this woman outside of the crowd sort of observing the situation, and Longshot makes a run for it because this woman, for him, she's bad news. We're going to discover who she is actually in the next issue with She-Hulk. But obviously what we discover is that Longshot is actually a Skrull. And not any Skrull. And the whole concept is actually really interesting because this actually did happen during wars. He's like a talisman. He's like a good luck charm. He's like the representation of the Skrull gods. The Skrulls send him to any planet that they're going to invade to make, to incline the balance of luck in their favor. And he really impacts on the Skrulls' morale. And he's just a really cool, it's just a really good idea because this actually did happen in history. Armies used to have talismans, good luck charms. They used to steal them from each other. It was like a big deal to get these things back. So here we have the Skrull talisman. He's obviously the precursor to any type of war or invasion for the Skrulls. This mystery woman sees hot on Longshot's trail, wants to capture him. She knows he's a Skrull, and Darwin wants to stop her because he doesn't know what's the deal with her. She pulled a gun on who seems to be his friend, Longshot, tries to shoot him, and X Factor arrives, and obviously they're going to side with their teammate, with Darwin, take down this young woman. Thing is, when they do, this young woman's friend pops up out of nowhere, and it's She-Hulk. And here's when things start to get really, really interesting. I love this cover of She-Hulk. They did a fantastic job with an army of Skrull multiple mans. Fantastic. So She-Hulk arrives. She confronts Monet. There's a really good self-aware moment here in the dialogue with Monet. It's like, look, let's not get into this whole situation where we fight over a classic superhero misunderstanding, where we're in a battle, we realize we're both on the same sides, and we're going to team up at the end. And She-Hulk is like, nah, fuck it, I'm going to take you down anyway. So they start the battle. Darwin's trying to capture this woman who was trying to kill, who seemingly was his friend, Longshot. And what we discover is that this woman is actually a Skrull defector. She's Super Skrull's daughter. She came to Earth. She doesn't want to do nothing to do with Skrulls and their whole wars and invasions. But what she tells She-Hulk is that she feels the presence of this talisman. And like Skrulls can perceive when this Skrull, this good luck charm, arrives on the planet. She perceives his presence, and this is a precursor to war. So with her Skrull sensing power, she's going to try to find this talisman, capture him, kill him, dispose of him, so they can stop the Skrull invasion. So after a brief misunderstanding where She-Hulk just discovers that her best friend is a Skrull, tells her the truth, they decide to team up and find this talisman. So that's how we got to do that situation with that scuffle back on the streets of Detroit. We have a really awesome battle here. We have a strong guy just slamming She-Hulk into the ground. She-Hulk just colossally kicks his balls. That really hurts. It's like, that's one thing. I fight. I've been doing kickboxing, jiu-jitsu my whole life. These groin shots always seem to be funny, but actually in real life, most of the times they don't hurt. If like you're in the heat of battle, they might hurt a little bit later, but normally this doesn't hurt. But well, this is like an epic kick to the balls. Here we get the whole story about the talisman and that whole situation. But Darwin wants to protect his friend because he has no idea. The guys in X Factor have no idea that he's a Skrull. The whole battle between She-Hulk and Multiple Man, with Multiple Man piling on her, it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. So, what happens in the next issue? The battle goes on. The art here with all the Multiple Men on top of She-Hulk is just fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And as the story progresses, this Skrull's cover is actually blown, but he has a chat with Darwin, telling Darwin's like, man, I'm interested in you because you seem to be the next step in the evolution of humanity, not only as a mutant, but your powers seem to mimic those of a future Skrull, that humanity might evolve into being Skrulls, and that they must let the Skrull invasion take place so the Skrulls can usher in this new next step of humanity's evolution into being more like them, and that this invasion is good. And that's the whole idea of the Skrull invasion Secret Invasion was really good, because the Skrulls actually thought that Earth was like part of the divine right, and that they were going to do something positive to humanity. So that angle was really good within the Secret Invasion, and he tries to sell this idea to Darwin. So the whole dialogue here is really good. And obviously, at the end of the story, the heroes are able to take down and defeat the Skrull. That his powers are like centered around his belief that he can do something. So, so he's like super OP. But once he has these like established that a little bit of doubt within his powers, like his powers start to go down. So this is a pretty good tie-in. Like, I spoiled the whole thing. I should have said spoilers before, but. Go out. If you haven't read Secret Invasion, read all the tie-ins. They're really good. This is the main story itself too. So see you guys next time. Bye.